Joined around them now on the march is Private Dancer, quickly improving. Over on the inside, Nonna's Jewel, and further back in the field, Soul Express second from last. On the outside of Low the Musket, the Hot Pot leads them though to the corner. At the 400, Disruptive a length in front. Masagi's come away from the fence though to quickly chime in, and then Private Dancer going up near the outside with that sustained run. It's the favourite that leads at the 250. Over on the inside, Disruptive, but Private Dancer keeps coming, and so does Masagi, and it's really on in earnest here at the 100. On the outside, Private Dancer, Masagi, they've beaten off Disruptive. It's Private Dancer doing a bit the better there, and a grand win. Fine performance, Private Dancer beat Masagi. Disruptive ran third, then came Good Luck Simba, Alta Sulamore. In behind those, next home, Soul Express, Sagredo, Load the Musket, and back a long last is Nonna's Jewel when they'd pulled up. Well, it was a wonderful effort. Fantastic performance 2 runs ago at Northam to win a 54 benchmark when it sat off the track and won by 4. It got into a fair level of bother last start in that 3-year-old handicap to Arcadia Prince. Now he was on the march, Brad Parnham there, a fair way out. He really put it into the race early. It's a double for Brad in successive races. So the Parnham so far, Steve won the first, Brad's won the next 2, have won the first 3 races for the day. But this really is a filly in very good form for Trevor Andrews by Oratorio from Atavism, beating Masagi, who had the cosy run on the back of Disruptive, who just was a bit awkward there and ungainly. It wanted to put its head up into the air and have a good sticky beak around, and when the pressure went on, there wasn't a lot left in the last 100. It was up to Private Dancer to keep on going, and she really found. Raced by Joanne Andrews and Ken and Helen Gregson, Isaac and Estelle Cohen, Ross and Karen Drage, Glenn Martin and Mrs. F.M. Cook. Trained by Trevor Andrews. Winning double for Brad Parnham. Scored by 1 length in 1:25.09. Second 3 Masagi by Delago Deluxe out of Stubborn, Darren McAuliffe, William Pike. And Disruptive by Reset from Lady Phoebe, Lindsay Smith, Dan Stake. Number 2 Good Luck Simba was 4th home. 1 length in 1:25.09, 35.97. The final 600 of race number 3, the sign-on group handicap. And she's progressing along really well in here, these easier 3-year-old classes, but she's having to do it the tough way. And again, a filly that didn't have any luck last time out. Race 4, the Yellow Glen Maiden at 1400 metres, 3:30 starting time. Scratch 13, Rosanna. 16, City Star. 17, War Boss, and 18, Percy Kiwa. And Peter Hall now on to 15 in Soxy Bow. Let's go to Gareth. Joins us downstairs in the winner's enclosure. He's with Trevor Andrews there. And this is a filly that's certainly in a real purple patch of form.
He's produced a couple of really nice 3-year-olds in these midweek meetings at Ascot so far, but that was a good ride by Parnham. We mentioned it before that race that she needs to be rolling, and he put her into that race at just the right time.
Yeah, exactly, Gareth. She a bit frustrating that she doesn't have any gate speed. She sort of makes it a bit hard for herself. You know, she sort of fell out of the gates, and he sort of had to be quite aggressive to try and hold a spot. But he was lucky enough to be able to get to the outside of him and put her in the race early. I took her to the Belmont on Saturday and we galloped her there, and she worked super, but we just thought that, as I said beforehand, she needs to be rolling into the race. And anyway, we're happy to get the job done, and I sort of thought I'd avoid the Burgess Queen and go the easier way, but we might have a look at the champion fillies over a mile in a few weeks, I think.
Because it's a midweek race, but she's beaten a couple of really nice 3-year-olds that have proven themselves against some of our better 3-year-olds already this campaign.
Yeah, it looked to be a bit of depth in it, and you know, she's had a few runs this prep, so there's probably not too many more in her, but it'd be nice to get some black type with her.
Obviously, just needed to get to jump a little bit better at the start. Maybe she'll just, can she just learn that herself, or is it a maturing thing?
Well, because she's always drawn wide, we've sort of had to ride her a bit quieter, so she's never been taught to sort of be aggressive early. We had the barrier attendants lift her tail up today, and that didn't seem to work, so we'll keep trying, but if she is what she is.
Job well done, Trev.
Thank you.
There we go, there's Trevor Andrews, Brad Parnham. That's a double to Brad here on this midweek meeting at Ascot. He's catching up with Matthew Kelly.
Off to an absolute flyer is Brad Parnham. Tell us a little bit about this girl and this run today. How'd you rate that performance?
Yeah, it was a really good performance. It obviously doesn't get out of the gates that well, which is a little bit of a pain because I probably couldn't have it in the spot where I wanted to, but I learnt a lot from riding it the other day. I realised it can't be held up on the fence. It just doesn't have a good turn of foot. That's why today, even though I missed it, I just let them sort of go, and then I waited till about the 800, and then I just slowly started moving into it, and it just kept its momentum going from there, and it was too strong.
Did you feel you had the two horses in front of you, despite them being both talented 3-year-olds? Did you feel that you had them covered coming to the corner?
Yeah, look, I was quietly confident, but I know that those horses have ability too, so you can never be too sure. But yeah, like, I had to make my move when I made it, just to make sure that I was on level terms with them coming into the straight. And I knew my horse was going to be tough enough to run it right through the line, and fortunately it was better than the other two.
Private Dancer gets the win. Bay Parnham gets the early double. Well done.
Thanks, mate.
Brad Parnham there, win number 2 for the day, coming aboard the 4 Private Dancer. I think the gear change seemed to make a fair bit of difference to Masagi there. And in terms of excuses for disruptive, well, as Darren mentioned in his call, got its head up in the air throughout the early part of the race. Might have contributed a little bit, but other than that, was probably just beaten by a better horse on the day. In terms of getting out of the gates, yeah, maybe a negative, but it could also be seen as a positive as well. If it can start to jump a little bit better, we can see this horse perform even better than how she did today.
Private Dancer defeats Masagi. Disruptive back in third. Good Luck Simba was beating a fair way back there in fourth. But the top 3 are pretty handy. That's race number 3. We'll be back for the 4th, just awaiting the all clear here at Ascot.